Oh my, what a firework display that is. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh yes, when it came out in 1989, this was really breaking new ground. It's a business of having a fluid wand with all this pretty stuff in it in a kaleidoscope. And Wildwood, the company in America, first produced this in 1989. Many people have copied it since then. And it's one of my all-time favourites. Out of 30 kaleidoscopes I have, and I've got 10 to show you in a minute, this is really a spectacular one. Very, very nice indeed. What's particularly nice about it is holding it vertically, and then they drop down as tremendously busy quick changes of patterns. When you then turn it sideways like that, so it's horizontal, it almost freezes, but not quite. It's still moving, but very, very slightly and very slowly. It really calms it down. And then you complete the turn so that you've got whatever's fallen down that is now at the bottom and it's now at the top again, and it's back to the very rapid and very spectacular moves. Some of those pieces have got are sort of glinted reds and silvers, which are highly reflective, and they're making stunning effects on my eye. Absolutely stunning. So, and then when you want to go halfway, turn it round, and it has that little pause, almost stays constant but not quite, and then continue the turn, and it's back to tremendous action, just like a firework display. Simply marvellous. What a wonderful idea that is, isn't it? A fluid wand and the usual triangular mirror system, and a very fine one at that, inside it. So I do love kaleidoscopes which break new ground and show something different to anything I've seen before. And when that first came out, it was doing just that. It was an absolutely marvellous one. So I've got about 10 of the kaleidoscopes here from my collection. That was the first one. Some of the others are more normal, but there's something odd about most of them actually. This one calls itself a laser gazer, rainbow kaleidoscope. It's not bad. It's nothing like as spectacular as that. That's a very great one to start with. But if I hold it up to the eye, this one, curiously enough, doesn't have little beady things inside. Instead, it's got little bits of diffraction grating paper in it, which means lots and lots of rainbow colours. I'm looking at lots and lots of colour spectrums there. When I turn, I have to turn the whole barrel to make this one operate. It's quite nice, and again, it's a triangulated system, a long tunnel. But it's definitely pushing the diffraction rainbow effect you're getting from a proper rainbow spectrum into the eyepiece, and making it, providing you've got a good strong light there, makes a pretty spectacular display there. So a nice one there. Well done, the inventors. This next one's very interesting, and there's more to it than what I realised. The point about this is, you can take off the actual gubbins at the end, which have got the stuff in it. Let me just demonstrate by illuminating the pieces inside. It's quite interesting what they've chosen to put into this actually as well. Let's get that torch a bit more. That's right. Actually, like that. That's right. So it's okay to look at, but nothing to write home about really. It's quite nice. It's got a round red thing. It's got silver rods and things. But when you put that into a kaleidoscope's optical system, it turns absolutely magical, because all those are suddenly turned into geometrical patterns. So, but before I do that, I can actually point out that this in its present form has got no object to look at, but it's then called a kaleidoscope, which means there's nothing on here, there's just things to look at. So instead of holding up to the light, you need to look at it like this, and I'm passing it over the table where all these highly coloured kaleidoscopes are lying, and getting some wonderful effects from the mirror system, which is more than just triangles. It's a whole multiple of eye lenses in there. Astonishing. So, and you'll see a little more of that when you look in both ends. In fact, I'll get you to look, the camera to look into that end as well. But then when this is put in, this is absolutely, it's got a strong O-ring, and now that can turn and twiddle and twiddle. And this is a treat, this one. When it's in this form, suddenly you realise a little cell of fairly ordinary looking bits of glass suddenly become wonderfully ornate and patterned. And it's just not the very strong colours they've got in it, but it's the shapes and the patterns that they're getting out of it, because each piece has got it's a round, or it's heart-shaped, or it's long and like a little rod, or there's 4 little white balls I can see there. Oh, that's extraordinary. And so on. There's a lot to look at there, and it's almost impossible to recreate any one picture again. You're getting constant new things to look at as you're turning it. So that works very well on those 3 different levels. There's another one here which is typically a kaleidoscope. So there's, unlike this one, which is it's really a kaleidoscope but with a removable piece, this has got nothing on here on the end at all. It's got an eyepiece here, and then this is just a triangular mirror system to look at there. And when you then look at something interesting, I mean, I can look at my hand actually, that's way around, and see a whole lot of fingers, which are bizarre, as if my hand is now broken up into about 5 different places, and when the fingers move, it's most bizarre. That I must definitely get that filmed. Oh my goodness! And then a nice circulating move around this table full of these interesting kaleidoscopes, which are so many colours in it too. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So lots and lots to look at, but not due to any particular little end piece, which is what all the other ones have. So that was breaking new ground for me. I didn't know the name Kaleidoscope until I do it. This next one is something I left in the packaging, because the packaging itself is so extraordinary. And the Kaleidoscope is it's the only one of its kind I've ever seen. Let me first of all show you the packaging. This thing unrolls. Can you see there's slanted little screw threads there, and there's a screw thread on here, and as it undoes, you reach the end and it's opened. That's extraordinary, isn't it? Very, very nice bit of design. Now this is extraordinary because there's no glass at all. It's just a square rod of plastic. But there's a fluid chamber at the end, which when you turn it, moves under gravity as it's being pulled down. So, and then to look at it, which you do in the ordinary way, you look to the end and you're looking at a square tunnel where pieces are reproduced in different directions by what they call infinite progressions. But when you turn this, you get a little bit of movement of those fluid cells at the end starting to perform, and it's surprising how sophisticated it is, considering how simple it is. No mirror system here in the ordinary sense, no glass, just a piece of plastic, and each of these acts as a kind of mirror with air on the outside, plastic on the inside, and you're getting internal reflections, which creates these wonderful colours of, well, there's blues and greens, and there's some oranges there, and there's fluid motion as well, makes it very interesting, a little bit like the very first one I show. That's an extraordinary idea for a kaleidoscope, completely original, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like it since then. It's the only one I have. The next one's back to fluid motion, but instead of being a long rod like the first one, it's just got some colourful marbles in a fluid cell of some sort of oil, or is it? Well, it's not water, it's something more viscous, I think. So when you turn it like that, you get the pieces floating down to the next level. When you look at it through here, of course, you've got a nice system of triangular mirrors. I think it's triangles, yes. And when you look at it now through, and you can either look at the end, or you can get the light shining on the end. You can put your hand on the end. It just darkens it very slightly. As I'm now turning it, I'm getting some very, very nice patterns there. And they don't go flip quickly because they're in a fluid, so they're going to float down as the gravity pulls them. Very, very pretty and unusual patterns from that. And glints of the white light coming through them as well. That's a very unusual one. And it's quite unusual to look at as well. So lovely, lovely, lovely stuff. Here's another one which is all glinty. This is, again, there's no little beads on the end of it. It's just entirely done by diffraction pieces, I think it is. Or what have they got? Let's put my glasses off. It's got some very strange stuff in it. Or is it this end here? No. Oh, this is this end. Yes, I'm looking at the wrong end. There we are. Don't know how to do my own things. That's better. Yes, it's getting a mixture there of coloured pieces with the light shining through it, and then reflections of rainbow colours due to diffraction effect. Very interesting. And then, yes, it's also to turn the barrel and to turn the end piece. Both are a treat to do. Quite a dark tunnel, actually. It's very interesting, this one. It's like looking through a really black tunnel. It's some spectacular thing at the end of it. So, a good one. These last two are, last three, the first two are very small indeed. This is actually it's a ballpoint pen I picked up in Tokyo in 1986, I think it was. There's the end of it, so I can write a letter with it. But all this is a kaleidoscope. It's got a viewing place here. It's got little pieces at the bottom which are reflect, and it's got a little mirror system. I think triangular mirrors. So when I hold it here like this and turn it like this, the pieces all, yes, they all start moving. Tiny little beads, all being pulled down by gravity as I turn the cell, and it's giving me a little light show. And yet it's a ballpoint pen. Ooh, very nice use for children wanting to entertain themselves while they're waiting for the teacher to give the next lesson to copy down. It's something they can play with. Very nicely done too. And the penultimate one is a very small one, made by a company called Après la Pluie, After the Rain, a lovely man who was running it at Nuremberg Toy Fair. This is very small. It hangs around her neck on a little piece of cord, hold up to the eye, and it's not a kaleidoscope, it's a proper kaleidoscope, but quite dark, but if I get some lots of light in it, that's better. I'm surprised at how much she's packed into it. Tiny, tiny little beads of glass, blues, reds and yellows, silvers, and then some blank spaces where the light comes through. It makes for quite a nice light show, but in a very, very small scale, and a bit of tapping helps I find as well to make it work. So considering how small that is and how easy it is to either hang around the neck as an ornament or to put it in your pocket, it's a very easy to carry kaleidoscope. Now look at the contrast between that and the last one. This must be with the smallest kaleidoscope I've got, and this must be the largest one, I think. And this is something else. This was made by Peach of Austin, Texas, back in the late 80s. It cost me a bomb, but I felt at the end of it it's worthwhile because it's so unusual. It's not, at the end of it, it's just got that grill, which is very strange. So there's no chance of light getting in there, and there's no light getting in here at all. And that turns like that. So what's going on? Is it going to do anything at all? Well, yes, this is the first electronic kaleidoscope. Inside here is a microphone which detects sound waves, and there's also a little 9-volt battery inside. And when I look through this end, it's going to go flash, 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 providing I feel taps like that. I'm getting a big display of yellows and greens and reds, little round balls in clusters of 4s and 5s and 10s, and it's making a real little light show. It's marvellous. Best of all, I think we thought, was to try it with some music to see what happens. So we've got our musical box here, the thing we've had for a long time on our website, because it creates some music on a strip, and you make your own music for this. And let's try it using the kaleidoscope and see what we get. This is got a well-known piece. I won't tell you what it is, just see if you recognise it, but it's a very well-known piece, and it's something that we've had on the website for a long time. And then when we start doing it, I'll hold this up. What I need to do is pick up the sound waves on the table like this, get down because it's got to be horizontal, and as I turn it, let's see if we can get the thing going. There we go. Yes, yes, that's beautiful. That's flashing in time to the music. And do you recognise the music yet? Oh, yes. I'll get a bit closer and so on, it'll flash even more. Goodness me, what a light show. All to the sound of music. Did you get the tune? Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky, of course. Wow, what a lovely piece that was, and what a lovely one to finish with. So, 10 jolly good kaleidoscopes with lots of invention, lots of innovation, lots of fun to collect over 30, 40 years probably. Hope you liked it.